Get everything situated here. Hi, everyone. This is Cassandra Williamson coming to you from Pike County, Kentucky, a little town called Hardy, which is all of 5 miles maybe from Williamson, West Virginia, across the Tug River, and maybe 5 or 6 miles from Matewan, West Virginia, which is where all the activities actually occurred for the Hatfield-McCoy feud, there, and in Pikeville, Kentucky, where they hung somebody over all that. But anyway, so yeah, this is where I am. And if you're looking for some excitement in the area, come around here into Williamson, or, come in to tour some of the ATV trails and the Hatfield-McCoy feud system, trail system that's here, because we've got miles and miles and miles of that. And the tourists seem to be loving it. They bring in their ATVs and UTVs and just go riding through the hills on their motorcycles. And there are designated routes everywhere, all across this place. And you can actually ride on all the highways. Just have to wear your helmet and be safe. So anyway, it's like, yeah, come on in. So let's start talking about a couple of things. This first one, I'm just going to pull up this image. This is the map of the route that President Trump's birthday military parade will take. This coming Saturday, starting at, let's see, 6:30, I believe, and the parade will last until 7:30. So it's an hour-long parade, but it's only going a short distance relatively down Constitution Avenue, northwest in D.C. It goes from the Lincoln Memorial over to the Washington Memorial area generally, and there's going to be parking and parade viewing on one side and maybe on the other. I'm not sure how that part's going to work. Then there'll be a concert over there in the Ellipse in front of the White House. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and fireworks start at 9:45. So one thing I just want to say very clearly, I'm proud of the United States Army, and congratulations for 250 years. This is an amazing accomplishment. This Army has been one of the best in the world. There have been a few things along the way that needed to be changed, adapted, and they've been slow to adapt in a lot of cases, but they're actually doing quite well in that regard. They're learning to adapt as the situation changes. But Saturday is also June 14th, and it's also Flag Day. Flag Day in the United States, it was actually from June 14th, 1777, when the Continental Congress issued a resolution that made June 14th Flag Day, recognizing the flag of the United States, of the federal government. Okay, so that was done, that's like 248 years ago. So that's very exciting to see that. And that also is an important day for us. It's not as well celebrated as it probably should be, because we do stand behind our flag, and we do stand for the flag. And those of us who are veterans, myself included, let me go and put myself back up here. Those of us who are veterans, myself included, we have served our nation, and we've done it, served to defend the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And we stand by that. We understand that this Constitution is not necessarily a rock that can't be changed. We know that it is something that's dynamic. We know that. Thomas Jefferson knew that. He even said that in some letters that he wrote in 1816 to his friend Samuel Kercheval. You have to go look it up. He had a really, really beautiful description of the way he saw the Constitution. And this was 1816. This is not very long after the thing had been written in 1786 and 87 and signed off in those years, or later in those years, and approved by the various states. So, yeah, one of the things that Jefferson said in 1816 was that, who are you to try to force me to wear the coat of my youth when we know so much more now, and the world has changed a lot since then. And he said that he knew that his compatriots, the people who had actually written the document, they would understand that too. They would not want to be put up on a pedestal somewhere and turned into quasi-gods of our foundation. No, they didn't want that. Jefferson was keenly aware of that. Hamilton was too. And Hamilton was more of a Federalist than Jefferson ever could be. Jefferson was not a Federalist at all. He was all about states' rights and all about that agrarian society, and he did not like those big cities in New York and Boston. And he certainly didn't like, initially, before he became president anyway, he certainly didn't like all that, the manufacturing class that was going to come over from Europe and build manufacturing in the country, because he thought that that would take away from the agrarian side of the country, and it would create a class of people who were just looking to work in the factories and not build something out on a farm somewhere. So Jefferson was opposed to that until he became president, at which point in time he changed his mind because he saw that the United States actually needed manufacturing. He was opposed to it. Alexander Hamilton had written a plan all about manufacturing and things, and how important it was to build that up so that the U.S. was secure, and put in tariffs so that the infant manufacturing in this country was protected, knowing that as it grew more powerful and stronger, eventually it would have to be, those tariffs would have to lift off so that, because you achieve some parity. But anyway, so I don't even know how I got off onto all that topic. But anyway, it's Flag Day. I started talking about Flag Day and how important it is, and that it's something that is not celebrated as much as it should be celebrated. But another big thing is taking place on the 14th of June, too. How many of you know what that is? Well, it happens to be for the 79th birthday of President Donald James Trump. Born in 1946 on June 14th. He is the president. This is his second term after skipping one. So he's deserving of that respect for the fact that he is indeed an elected president of this country. So whether we like him or not, or his policies or not, he is still one of a long line of presidents, 47 of them, actually. So he is deserving of that kind of respect for the fact that he is holding that office. However, this parade Saturday is not about the flag or the Army. They're making a big deal about the Army's birthday, and justly so, and rightly so. That should be the case. However, he tried this same thing during his first term, and people shut him down. He didn't have absolute control as he does now. He learned from the first term. He took the 4-year break that he had in between the two terms and learned how to use all the tools of the federal government to put people that he trusted in places. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that across the board. Okay. It's just flat out controls the whole thing. If you aren't rolling your pencil across the desk in the right direction, and it has A, B, C, D, E on that thing to pick out which thing that you want to go with, and you select an E and he wants you to go A, well, he's going to tell you to go A. And if you don't, you'll go be kicked out on the street. Ta-da! That's where we are. And it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not. So this parade is Trump's birthday parade. 150 mobile vehicles. I believe that's what I saw earlier. And 50 aircrafts. And 6,600 troops. Be marching in all kinds of different uniforms from our history and present day to history. And out on the festival that's taking place before the march, you'll find all kinds of different uniforms represented and soldiers walking around in them. From the Revolutionary War all the way up, they plan on doing that to celebrate all of the different things that the U.S. Army has been involved in since before it became the U.S. Army, when it was just the Continental Army under George Washington. So yeah, I mean, it's come a long way, and the celebration is justified for the U.S. Army. But this thing is not about that. No matter how much they try to whitewash it and make you think that it is, this thing is not about the Army or the flag. This is about his birthday. He wants it for his ego, to stoke his ego, to make himself feel better. But he feels entitled to having a massive parade. Why? Because he looks up to certain people in the world who do have those things. I don't know, Viktor Orban, let's go with Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, all these people who show off their military strength because there's some kind of phallic symbol associated with it, all the missiles going down the street, you know, it's very phallic-like. Yeah. It basically says, look at me. I am a man's man. I've got all of this power and all of these big, long missiles ready to go. And oh my God, it's so Freudian. That's what this is. It's a Freudian activity. Oh my gosh, it just is disgusting, really. But in the United States, we've never been ones to want to show off all of our armor, all of our tools of war, and all that kind of stuff. We don't need to show it off. So yeah, this is all about Trump, period. So with that going on, there are at least 1,500 different protests against this military parade, this Trump's birthday parade, taking place across the country. From small to large, and everything in between. So if you can find one in your community to get involved in, I know of none here, not right here in Eastern Kentucky. No, not in Southern West Virginia. No, I don't know of anything here. And I'm not going to start one. Just so you know. But you can do that. Get out and get involved in those kind of things, because that's where you need to be to show where you stand, what you think about this. I'm a veteran and I am opposed to this parade. I'm a veteran and I support the Army's 250th anniversary. I'm a veteran who also supports the 248th anniversary of our flag, of the resolution that adopted the flag for the United States, or the Continental Congress at the time. Continental Army became the United States afterwards. So yeah, I mean, I fully support those things. And I acknowledge that President Trump is our president, duly elected, properly elected, constitutionally elected president, with whom I have severe disagreements on all kinds of different topics. If that goes without saying, right? Well, actually, I'll just keep on saying it. But anyway, so that's one thing you can do. Get involved at your local parades. Find something, go out there. If you can access Washington, D.C., get there early, get there, find a place. There's some of the metro stations that are being closed in front of the Air and Space Museum. I think one of them coming in, there's an outbound. Well, there's different ones there that's closed. There's two of them across the street on that map from each other. So get there if you can, and protest if you must. Do it as peacefully as you possibly can. Don't be violent about it. The riots taking place where property is being destroyed and people are being harmed and bricks and rocks thrown at law enforcement, that is not who we are. Let me make that very clear. If you do something like that, it's going on in LA. It's a small section of LA. It's not the whole darn city. Don't be fooled into thinking the whole city is up in flames. No, it's not. It's a section, a small part. So, but don't go out and throwing rocks and bricks and stones and bottles all at law enforcement or those protecting Trump and his parade. Don't throw things at them. Don't do that. And if I know who you are, I'll call you out for it myself. Absolutely will. We don't do that. However, protesting peacefully as much as is possibly human to do, unless you are fired upon, then that is another thing altogether. One of my biggest concerns is that you'll get some young kid in a National Guard or Army uniform or a law enforcement uniform or something like that, and they feel threatened by all this push of people protesting Trump, and they make a mistake and fire into that crowd like they did at Kent State in Ohio back on May 4th of 1970, where 4 students were killed and 9 were wounded by the Ohio National Guard. And the students were protesting the war in Vietnam. And they were also protesting the presence of military on college campuses. And after the shooting, after those 4 students were killed and 9 wounded at Kent State in Ohio, the nation erupted across all the campuses, just all erupted over protesting what was going on in the war. It was one of the seminal moments in bringing an end to our presence in Vietnam. Yeah, we shouldn't have been there to start out with, but we were. So anyway, so those are some options. You can go to D.C., you can go be a part of the parade there, or protest the parade there, or even just go there to observe it. Okay, if you want to do that, go there to observe it. That's fine too. And you can go there and hold up a sign and say, "Yay, Army," or "Yay, Flag Day," or "Yay, President Trump," or you can grab one of the flags that says "No tacos." Oh, I'm sorry. no, no tacos. Okay. No authoritarian leaders. No to Trump, and no to Project 2025. And this parade is not a military parade, but in fact, it's a birthday parade in honor of the president because it stokes his ego. That's what it's all about. If you don't believe it, I mean, all you have to do is just look at what's been going on in the president's whole life. He has surrounded himself with things that are shiny and gold and glittery. People who can give him those things can gain his ear and bend his ear to any way they want to go. And they know that. So why do you think the Qataris are wanting to give the president or an Air Force One mock-up that came from the royal family? Because it came from the royal family, folks. It was outfitted for them. So when they're giving it to him, they're actually saying, "You're one of us." And that's what he likes. He got his ego stoked. That's why he's got a golden toilet. And then the golden showers. Now, I don't think they're related. Let me see. Golden toilet. Golden shower. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? So, oh my gosh. And that's why everything around it in the Oval Office is so gaudy right now. It's just covered in gold stuff. And faux gold, fool's gold, really. But anyway, it's all decked out in gold and decorated up and all like that. And I mean, it's supposed to look like something out of the royal palace. And that's how he considers himself. That's how he views himself. That's why he wants this parade in D.C. It's to validate his identity. Wait a minute. We don't have identity politics on the Republican side, do we? Yeah, we do. Trump is well into identity politics. I mean, if you don't wear your shirt right and have the right collar, as Jesse Waters knows, he'll bring one to you out on your golf course and give it to you. Out on his golf course and give it to you while you're going around and make a big deal out of it. He did that to Jesse Waters. He didn't like Jesse's collar, so he took him a shirt on the golf course. He said, "This is the kind of collar you should wear if you're going to be perceived as being a man." Good Lord. Someone, a psychologist somewhere, could have a lot of fun with this Freudian stuff that Trump is so tied into and that his acolytes are so tied into. I mean, Jesse Waters is out here telling men how to be men. Really? He sits behind his little round table there with his legs all spread eagle. Like, if you had a microscope, you might be able to find something in there, but at least I can pretend you can see what I've got. But you can't. But anyway, holy crap. Telling men what to wear, how to dress, well, how to cross your legs. Don't cross your legs. And lo and behold, don't make a s'mores in the stove. No, if a man's going to make a s'mores, you got to do it out on the fire, out in the camp woods, out in the camp somewhere, you know, over the coals. Or, geez, don't you dare put a straw in my drink. It's craziness, folks. It's craziness. It's the same kind of crap you hear out of Jordan Peterson, and J.D. Halligan, or whatever his name is, over on X all the time. He's a psychologist, and he only believes in like hereditarianism. You ought to look it up. it's yeah, that's JD or JL or whatever his freaking name is. I don't know. But anyway, so there is another way though to address this parade, is to boycott it. You can boycott that parade and not go at all, not give it any light of day. I think some of the broadcast stations are going to be doing sports. They're not giving it any light, okay? Because they know this is just to stoke Trump's ego. But the thing is, if they don't cover it, then they become the brunt of all the stories that you're going to hear Sunday morning on the other news channels around the world, not just here. Can you imagine the title? ABC played squash during President Trump's birthday parade. And a big snub to the President of the United States. That's ABC News or NBC or CBS or MSNBC. If they do something like that, they'll become, it'll be used as an additional bullet against them over on the right, stoking up all this stuff about the media being a problem. Holy crap, folks. There is one other thing that can be done besides just boycotting them. This one. I'm going to put this image up here. Now, some of you may or may not know what this is about. This is not about, well, actually it kind of is, but I had a classmate of mine kind of talk about it over on Facebook. How many of you know what that image represents? You can put it in the chat there. Tell me what that image represents. You got 4 big Chinese tanks facing off. You got 1 civilian standing in front of the tanks right there. And the tanks didn't want to run over the man, I'm pretty sure. But this man was defending democracy and a Republican form of government like what we have here, a constitutional republic. He wanted that. Whereas the other side, with all of the phallic-laden tanks back down through there, pencil phallus. Okay, sorry, it just kind of okay. So pencil phallus with the Chinese communist tanks. All right, and I don't know what makes a tank communist. Maybe it's just the driver. Or the leaders pushing it along. But anyway, he was standing against authoritarianism and communism. And he wanted to be able to have a say in his government and to be able to protest his government when they did something wrong. And that's what that man was doing right there in that image at Tiananmen Square in Beijing. So this is an AP image, by the way. Just have to give proper credit for that. So that's where we are. I don't know of a way that somebody could pull that kind of thing off, because they're putting up anti-scale barriers, things to prevent people from climbing up or pushing them over, climbing up and over, getting out into the direction and the path of the parade. And I don't know if they've got people who will go out there and kill a person who did that. And I don't want to see any martyrs out here. I do not. I can tell you, though, if I were there, I'd be one of those people trying my best to find a way in to stand in front of that darn tank. Not because I can think that that's what I really want to be doing. No, I don't really want to do something like that. But we have got to find something that will motivate this country to stop Trump and his wholesale takeover of the federal government and our nation. Right now, here's another thing. Right now, Newsweek is reporting, probably about 10 hours ago now, reporting that Greg Abbott is deploying the National Guard, the Texas National Guard, across Texas to quell any unrest that may occur from immigration problems or whatever. He's basically saying, you know, if you act like in LA, now this is a justified statement. If you go out and destroy property and harm people, then they do need to arrest you. Flat out. They need to arrest you for that. But so much can go wrong with the National Guard being deployed around a state in anticipation of what might happen. Just think about 4 dead in Ohio and on May 4th of 1970. Just think about that. Every time they start sending National Guard somewhere or they send the Marines somewhere, start to remember what happened in Ohio on May 4th of 1970. And just hope to God that we don't have a trigger-happy person out there. There were 67 shots fired at the students at Kent State. 67 shots fired from the National Guard at the students, killing 4 and wounding 9, crippling 1 of the 9. I don't want to see any of these troops, the National Guard or Marines or anybody else, out there having anything to do with a peaceful protest, as they are guaranteed to have by the First Amendment. But the moment those protests turn violent, if somebody's throwing rocks and smoke grenades and all kinds of crap at the police or at buildings and property, then you've stepped over the line with that one, folks. Anyway, I've been talking for a while. Oh, let me go back. There's 2 more news stories I want to hit real fast before we go. This one, I want to say something directly to the LGBTQ plus people in this country. If you think these attacks are only targeting trans people that are coming out from this administration, from Pete Hegseth and all of that, no, they're not. They're going after the entire minority community. Southern Baptist Church, in a story by Peter Smith at The Independent, about 8 hours ago, roughly 8 or 9 hours ago. The title is Southern Baptist Vote to Seek Repeal of Ruling That Legalized Same-Sex Marriage. In the body of the article, they start talking about transgender people, as of course they're going to. Every time you get a breath, they're going to say something stupid. But that's where we are. But see, the Southern Baptists aren't the only ones who have said that about repealing same-sex marriage. Project 2025 does too. Yep, sure does. And anything to do with gender, they want it gone, folks. All right, next little story I wanted to hit up on here. And this story is entitled, let me get to the top, What's Targeted in Trump's Request for $9.4 billion in Budget Cuts from Congress by Kevin Frecking at the Associated Press, published about 4 to 5 hours ago today. And so there's a list of things down through here. He's looking to cancel $9.4 billion in spending that's already been approved by Congress. And it's just a sliver of that $1.7 trillion that's already been okayed in the budget. But let me see. Obviously, public media is on the chopping block. Everything to do with NPR and Corporation for Public Broadcasting, everything. National Public Radio, going after it all, going after every bit of it. And on down to the next little part of this, funding to combat diseases. Wow, come on, folks. All right. The administration is looking to call back, as it's written here. This is me saying it, quoting it. Trump's administration looking to call back about $900 million from the $10 billion that Congress has approved for global health programs. $500 million of it, they want to, eliminate programs that are antithetical to American interests and worsen the lives of women and children, like family planning, reproductive health, LGBTQI activities and equity programs, and obviously HIV funding. As long as it doesn't interfere with care, treatment. So they're going after everything, including LGBT healthcare, because obviously those words can't be used in this administration without getting fired. Yeah, that's the way it works. And refugee assistance is the other part, is promoting stability of the other. There's quite a few things in there, but one of the things is also cutting out funding for the 988 suicide counseling phone number, the 988 phone number that people can call in, and you go dial 988, press option 1 for veteran counseling, press 988 and option 3 for LGBTQI counseling to prevent and help prevent suicides among those populations. Well, they're wanting to cut funding for it. They've already rolled back a lot of the people who are in those offices at the VA. I don't know what it is. They've got a thing in for all of those veterans. It's like a friend of mine has a hat down in Florida. A friend of mine has got this hat. And what was that Trump said, that losers and something else? Called veterans losers and something. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, my friend's got that on the back of a hat that says "Make America." It's disabled veteran on the front. It says disabled veteran on the front, and then losers or something like that on the back, because that's what Trump called them. And don't tell me he didn't say that. He said it in France. He's got no use for anyone who's been captured, wounded, harmed, or even people actually who serve in the military, because he thinks of them as wasting their lives doing things for free. Not for free. Doing things for a cause greater than themselves, which Trump can never understand. Period. Come back at 6. We could talk a lot more. See ya. Bye-bye.